Welcome to Mission Ready, a professional development series built to strengthen how organizations lead, communicate, and perform. Each session translates real-world leadership lessons into practical tools any team can use, whether you're driving strategy, managing people, or building your career. The focus is simple: clarity, discipline, and consistent execution. This isn't about where you come from. It's about equipping you to operate with confidence in fast-moving environments. Whatever your role, this is your space to refine your craft and get mission ready. Every leader feels it, the pressure to make decisions when nothing is unlimited. Not time, not people, not budget, not energy. We don't operate in a world of perfect options. We operate in a world of constraints, and constraints force us to make choices. And whether we realize it or not, those choices are economic decisions. Economics isn't about money. It's about how leaders think when resources run thin, missions overlap, and every option has a cost. It's the discipline of saying, if I commit here, what am I giving up over there? That discipline separates reactive managers from strategic leaders. This fourth module brings everything together. EP1 showed how external pressures shape the battle space. EP2 showed how supply chains set the price of your readiness. EP3 showed how workforce economics determine your capability. EP4 is where leaders earn their clarity. This is the episode where you learn to choose wisely inside the constraints you cannot escape. Because in leadership, success rarely comes from choosing the right option. It comes from understanding the cost of every option. So as we begin, ask yourself two questions. What resources in my mission are always tight? Where do I feel the hardest trade-offs between two good options? If you can answer those, this toolkit will change the way you lead. Every leader has heard the phrase opportunity cost, but few apply it the way strategic decision-making demands. Opportunity cost isn't the price you pay, it's the value of the path you didn't take, the mission you could have advanced, the capability you could have built, the time you could have protected. In leadership, every yes automatically creates a silent no. If you approve new training, you may be delaying a different priority. If you shift manpower to one department, another becomes undermanned. If you choose speed, you may lose precision. If you choose precision, you may lose momentum. Opportunity cost forces leaders to confront the reality that doing one thing means not doing another, even if that trade-off isn't visible on paper. This concept matters because leaders often judge decisions by their surface cost. How much will this project cost? How much time will this take? But the true price is hidden. What am I not doing because of this? What capability am I delaying? Who is now under-resourced because of this choice? Top-tier leaders understand this instinctively. They don't just ask, how much? They ask, compared to what? That question changes everything. Opportunity cost is the foundation of all effective prioritization. If leaders misunderstand it, they end up reacting instead of directing, chasing fires instead of allocating resources with intent. By the end of this module, you'll be able to see opportunity cost the way economists do, not as an abstract idea, but as the real battlefield where leadership decisions are won or lost. If opportunity cost is the hidden cost of your choices, then trade-offs are the battlefield where those choices become real. Every leadership decision redistributes limited resources: time, money, people, attention. When you move resources toward one priority, you inevitably move them away from another. That's not failure, that's economics, that's leadership. The problem is this: Most leaders make trade-offs without realizing they're making them. They think they're choosing option A, but they don't see the cost being imposed on option B. That's how organizations burn out talent, starve key missions, or overload teams. Trade-offs reveal what your organization truly values, not what it says it values. Disciplined leaders make trade-offs on purpose. They decide what must be protected, what can bend, and what can wait. They communicate the trade-off clearly, and they accept the cost up front instead of discovering it by surprise later. This is the heart of economic decision-making, knowing that every yes has a price and choosing it with your eyes open. One of the most powerful tools in a leader's economic toolkit is thinking at the margin, making decisions based on the next step, not the whole picture. Leaders often get overwhelmed trying to make perfect choices, but economics teaches a simpler principle. What is the benefit of the next hour, the next dollar, the next action, compared to its cost? Marginal thinking cuts through noise. You don't ask, should we invest in training? You ask, what is the benefit of investing in training one more hour? You don't ask, should we hire more staff? You ask, does adding one more person help more than it costs? And you don't ask, should we take on this project? You ask, is the next unit of effort worth it? Marginal decisions create clarity. They turn big, overwhelming choices into small, solvable ones. And that is where disciplined leaders win. When leaders make decisions, it's easy to think the biggest risk comes from choosing the wrong option. But in reality, one of the most expensive decisions a leader can make is doing nothing. Inaction is not neutral. Inaction has a cost, a very real economic cost. When a leader delays a decision, what actually happens? Costs rise quietly, opportunities expire, problems compound, competitors move faster, teams lose momentum. And by the time we finally act, the price of fixing the issue is often far higher than the price of preventing it. Economists call this the cost of inaction, the losses we absorb simply because we didn't move when we should have. This shows up everywhere. Delaying a hire means overtime pay, burnout, and lost productivity. Putting off equipment maintenance means larger failures later. Ignoring training gaps means higher turnover and lower capability. Waiting on a strategic decision gives the advantage to someone else. The lesson is simple. Inaction is an action, and it often costs more than making a tough call early. Great leaders move with intention, not hesitation. They act before the problem becomes the crisis. That discipline is what separates reactive organizations from resilient ones. Smart leaders don't fail because they lack intelligence. They fail because human instincts distort decision-making. Behavioral economics teaches us that the brain is built for survival, not strategic reasoning. Loss aversion pushes leaders to cling to failing strategies because the pain of loss feels twice as strong as the joy of gain. The sunk cost fallacy makes us throw good money after bad because we don't want to admit that past investments are gone. Confirmation bias leads us to seek data that proves we were right instead of data that tests whether we might be wrong. Overconfidence convinces us that probabilities don't apply to us, and the status quo bias tricks us into believing the current path is safer than it really is. These biases don't make you weak, they make you human. But once you recognize them, you can lead with discipline instead of instinct. Every mission has uncertainty, but leaders who survive uncertainty are the ones who think in probabilities, not emotions. Risk-adjusted thinking means we stop judging opportunities by how exciting they look and start judging them by how likely they are to succeed. A high upside idea with a 10% chance of success is often worse than a modest improvement with a 70% chance of delivering real results. This is the core of expected value, outcome times probability. Great leaders don't plan for only the best case. They live in the base case and prepare for the worst case. They ask, can we survive if things go sideways? What happens if the timeline slips or the cost overruns hit? And we must always remember the threat of tail risks, low probability events that cause massive damage. They don't happen often, but when they do, they determine who stays operational and who collapses. In the mission-ready mindset, risk-adjusted thinking isn't pessimism, it's discipline. It ensures we protect the mission, preserve capability, and avoid gambling the future on hope. This is the mission-ready economic decision framework, the field manual for making disciplined choices under pressure. Every leader faces the same challenge: too many demands, not enough resources. That's why smart decisions aren't made from instinct or emotion, they're made from a repeatable process. Step 1. Clarify the mission. Before making any decision, leaders must know the real objective. What problem are we solving? What outcome matters most? Step 2. List the real alternatives. Not one option, not the option that's politically comfortable. At least 2 or 3 viable choices. If you don't have alternatives, you're not making a decision, you're accepting a default. Step 3. Identify opportunity costs. Every choice requires giving something up: time, money, people, momentum. Leaders must name the cost of what they are not choosing. Step 4. Clarify the trade-offs. Every path has strengths and weaknesses. Leaders don't look for the perfect option. They choose the set of trade-offs the mission can live with. Step 5. Evaluate marginal benefit versus marginal cost. Not the total package, the next unit. What does the next dollar, next hour, next decision actually do? This is where clarity emerges. Step 6. Assess the cost of inaction. Doing nothing is a decision, and it often has the highest price. Delay can increase risk, cost, or operational fragility. Step 7. Check for behavioral traps. Are you holding on to sunk costs, protecting your own idea, or avoiding the discomfort of change? Bias is the silent enemy of clarity. Step 8. Consider risk range. Best case, base case, worst case. Good leaders are not surprised by predictable surprises. Step 9. Make the disciplined decision. A good decision is not the one that feels best. It's the one that aligns with mission, constraints, and risk tolerance. Step 10. Communicate clearly. Your people don't just need the decision, they need the why. Leaders align teams by connecting choices back to mission and logic. This scenario is the heart of episode 4 because it forces leaders to practice disciplined economic thinking instead of relying on gut instinct or convenience. You have $250,000 to deploy. You can choose 1, 2, or divide the funds, but every choice closes doors somewhere else. Option A is about precision and speed. Upgrading logistics software reduces mistakes, improves tracking, and gives leaders faster, cleaner data. The payoff is operational clarity, fewer errors, fewer surprises. Option B is about capability. Training 25 frontline employees expands the skill base of your organization. This is a long-term strategic play. Productivity rises, retention improves, and future leaders are developed. But the gains build over time, not instantly. Option C is about mission protection. Safety improvements prevent accidents, lawsuits, downtime, and morale collapse. This option does not increase output, but it prevents catastrophic loss. It's risk reduction, not revenue generation. Now put the mission-ready toolkit into action. Opportunity cost. Choosing one option forces you to delay or reduce the others. Which sacrifice can you actually live with? Trade-offs. Are you buying capability, stability, or efficiency? Marginal analysis. Which option delivers the greatest incremental improvement per dollar? Cost of inaction. If you delay training, do skill gaps widen? If you delay logistics upgrades, do errors multiply? If you delay safety improvements, could one accident wipe out your gains? Behavioral traps. Are you picking your favorite idea? Are you defending past decisions? Are you avoiding the hard choice for the easy one? Finally, ask the accountability questions. Which option strengthens long-term capability the most? Which option prevents the most future crises? If you had to justify your decision publicly, which would you defend and why? There is no correct answer, but there is a correct way to think. And leaders who think this way make better decisions on the battlefield, in the boardroom, and in everyday operations. Pause the video here and make a choice. Walk with me through this decision. You've just completed the decision scenario, $250,000 to allocate between software upgrades, workforce training, or safety investments. Most leaders will make that choice based on instinct. The most effective leaders make that choice based on economic logic. This slide is where we step back, slow down, and apply your mission-ready field card, the 10-step decision framework we built earlier in this episode. I want you to see how your decision holds up when examined through a disciplined lens. 1. Clarify the mission. Every decision begins with this question: what are we actually trying to achieve? Is the mission capability, efficiency, safety, long-term resilience? Your answer determines which option should rise to the surface. 2. List real alternatives. Many leaders choose between option A versus B without ever defining the real choices. You listed all three. That's good. In real-world environments, you'd list subvariants too. A1, software plus partial training. B1, training plus phased safety upgrades. C1, safety plus deferred technology. Great leaders expand the option space before narrowing it. 3. Identify opportunity costs. Opportunity cost is not theoretical. It is what you forfeit. If you chose the software upgrade, you gave up future productivity from trained employees. If you chose training, you accepted that your current systems might continue generating errors. If you chose safety, you accepted slower capability growth to prevent catastrophic downside risk. Every decision has a shadow cost. 4. Clarify trade-offs. Trade-offs are the tensions you cannot escape. Example: training boosts long-term capability but has slow payoff. Software improves accuracy but doesn't reduce systemic skill gaps. Safety investments eliminate tail risk but may slow innovation. In HBR terms, a strategy is not what you choose, it's what you are willing to sacrifice. 5. Evaluate marginal benefit versus marginal cost. The question is not, is it good? The question is it more valuable than the next best use of resources? Marginal benefit of training, exponential skills increase. Marginal benefit of software, fewer mistakes, faster throughput. Marginal benefit of safety, protects against rare but costly failures. Economic leaders ask, what does the next dollar accomplish? 6. Assess the cost of inaction. This is where most leaders fail. If you do nothing, software continues generating small but frequent mistakes. Skills stagnate and turnover increases. Safety vulnerabilities remain hidden until the worst day. Doing nothing has a cost, often the highest cost. 7. Check for behavioral traps. This is where you catch your blind spots. Loss aversion, clinging to what feels safest. Sunk cost fallacy, we already invested in training, let's keep doing it. Confirmation bias, favoring the option that fits your narrative. Status quo bias, believing inaction is neutral. It isn't. As we said in episode 3, strong teams don't appear, they are built. But strong decisions also don't appear, they must be built. 8. Consider risk range, best, base, worst. Think like McKinsey, not like a gambler. Ask, best case, what's the upside? Base case, what's most likely? Worst case, can we survive it? This moves you from wishful planning to risk-adjusted thinking. 9. Make the disciplined decision. At this point, the right decision usually becomes clearer. Disciplined decisions are not emotional. Align resources to mission. Accept trade-offs. Are defensible in the boardroom or the platoon. This is leadership maturity. 10. Communicate clearly, the final step. Every leader must answer, here's what we chose and here's why. This transforms economic thinking into organizational trust. Your team needs to know the decision wasn't arbitrary, it was strategic. Reinforcement. As you reflect on your choice for this scenario, ask, did I choose what's easy or what's effective? Did I choose based on data or instinct? Did I choose for the short term or the mission? Did I use the framework or skip steps? And remember, your mission-ready field card is a tool. Use it before every major decision. As we close episode 4, I want to bring everything together, because decision-making is where leadership either sharpens an organization or slowly weakens it. Every leader operates inside constraints, not wishes. The resources you have, the time you can move with, and the people you lead all shape the possible moves on the board. That's why economic thinking is not optional. It's the operating system behind good judgment. Every decision you make carries real opportunity cost. Choosing one path means giving up another, even if the cost is invisible. The leaders who ignore opportunity cost make emotional decisions. The leaders who recognize it make disciplined ones. Trade-offs are unavoidable. There is no perfect option. Each choice creates a combination of benefits and pain points. The mission-ready leader identifies those trade-offs and picks the one that strengthens long-term readiness, not the one that simply feels comfortable. Marginal thinking is where clarity shows up. The relevant question isn't, do we want more? It's, what does the next dollar, the next hour, the next person actually achieve? That is how leaders separate noise from impact. Inaction has a cost, often the highest cost of all. Delays can erode capability, stall momentum, and quietly deteriorate team readiness. Doing nothing is not neutral. Doing nothing is a choice with consequences. Behavioral biases shape more decisions than data ever will. Loss aversion, sunk costs, ego, overconfidence, and familiarity bias can drift a leader off course without a single spreadsheet error. Mission-ready leaders name their biases, neutralize them, and steer back to the mission. This is why we built the Mission-Ready Economic Decision Framework, a 10-step checklist that protects decision quality, forces clarity, and turns economic thinking into a repeatable habit. Whether you're making a small budget choice or a strategic shift, the framework keeps you anchored on the mission. Across all 4 episodes, tariffs, supply chains, workforce economics, and decision-making, the message remains the same. Strong teams don't succeed by accident. They succeed because leaders make disciplined, informed, mission-aligned decisions. That is the heart of being mission-ready. Thank you for joining me for episode 4 of the Mission Ready Leadership Series. Over the last 4 episodes, we've built a complete economic framework for modern leadership, from understanding external pressures, to navigating supply chains, to managing talent, to making disciplined decisions under constraints. Here's the truth. Leaders are not judged by perfect conditions. They're judged by how they think when conditions aren't perfect. And the leaders who stand out in today's environment are the ones who stay calm, stay analytical, and stay focused on the mission in front of them. Economic thinking isn't about finance, it's about clarity. It's about choosing the best path when every option has a cost. It's about building teams that are stable, capable, and accountable. And when you lead with this level of discipline, people feel it. Your team becomes more confident, your decisions become more consistent, and your organization becomes more resilient than the challenges around it. If today's work helped sharpen your thinking, I invite you to continue the journey with Mission Ready, where we train leaders to operate with strength, character, and economic intelligence.